All right, guys, I'm super excited to be sharing this video with you guys. There's a lot of value I think that you guys are going to extract from this video if you guys watch this to the end. And there's a new way to create content, and most people haven't caught on to it yet. In fact, if this video somehow found you, I can assure you that it will put you ahead of 95% of people if you watch this to the end. So just to give you guys a quick introduction to who I am, I'm Angel, a creative strategist who blends AI tools, storytelling, and performance marketing that help build content systems that ultimately scale for my clients. And we've done it very successfully recently, especially with all these new tools and innovations that have been coming out and what we've been implementing for my business. So I just want you guys to remember these key points. AI doesn't replace creativity. In fact, it scales it, and speed plus quality plus consistency is like the new power trio. And the best creators now operate more like mini studios because what used to take a full creative team can now be done by one person. So essentially, you could be a one person business if they follow this system. All right, guys. So most creators think that their problem isn't enough motivation or not enough time. But in 2026, and I could say a little bit of last year as well, the real divide will be between creators who have a system in place and those who just post content whenever they feel like it. You see, AI doesn't kill creativity, it kills inefficient creators. And this video is based on a framework that I built called the Future Creator Blueprint. And what I'm about to share with you guys here is definitely downloadable. You guys could click the link below and actually get this for yourself. So we'll go through it and hopefully you guys could extract some value from it. Now here, what I'm about to share with you guys is something that probably a lot of people could relate to, and I call this the creator's journey. And this is how one person could go from a consumer into a sort of producer mindset. Everyone, I would say, kind of follows this arc, and it's just like your heroes from your favorite comic book. Creation isn't just a straight path. In fact, it's sort of like a cycle of resistance, insight, and then execution. See, the key thing here is the persistence, the adaptation, and just overall just trusting the process, right? Now keep this in mind that the algorithm doesn't punish bad content, it punishes inconsistency. See, most people quit before the compounding phase actually begins. And the people who break through don't have more talent, they just have leverage. So if we go through it, and let me know if you guys could relate, but it usually starts with the comfort and the consumption. See, this is a person who's just constantly scrolling. See, you exist in a sort of default state. You just keep absorbing content. Even people who watch those self-help and productivity videos, they get stuck in the sort of learning loop, right? So consumption, that thing is easy. The only thing that really gets a little bit more difficult is when you start to change that mind from being a consumer to a producer. See, then something happens. This is what I call the call. Like an idea sparks or your curiosity starts to grow, and you get this sort of like pull to sort of make something of your own. And most people actually ignore it because the thing is, that part is scary. The unknown becomes scary to them, and that's just human psyche, and that's very normal. That's why very few people act, and this is what a lot of people like Jordan Peterson would say is your call to adventure. And then what happens is the resistance kicks in. The fear, what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? You know, every creator actually faces this, and the ones who actually win are the ones who start making action. And it doesn't matter if it's small, but the thing is that it's repeatable and you build a system around it. We'll get into how AI helps feed that system, so that way you sort of become this consistent, I guess, content machine without burnout and without putting out any like AI slop or anything like that. What it is, after you sort of like feel that resistance, but you still take action, you start to find leverage. Now you seek knowledge, and this could be in the form of a mentor. This, even books could be a sort of like variation of a mentor, and or systems. You realize, you know, I need to develop some skills. So whether you're working a full-time job or you're at school, you know, you got to find the time to sort of develop those skills in order for you to build that leverage. You could use AI to help you along that process. In fact, it's never been easier to build leverage for yourself. See, the thing is that although AI has been very rapid with its updates and all these tools that are coming out, that it produces a lot of noise. And the most valuable thing that you could get is a person's attention, because once you have a person's attention, that's when the real opportunity comes in to either for them to become, you know, your client, your customer, or whatever the goal is for your own personal business. But attention is one of the things that it's going to become a rare commodity, especially in the world that we're living in now, with all this noise that you're seeing on social media. So just keep that in mind. And then what happens is it's the leap. You know, you start working on your first project, whether this is an app or maybe this could be something that you're building. Maybe you want to start posting content on YouTube. But the thing is that you take that leap of faith, and it's not perfect, you know, because perfect is always an illusion. But something like, there's an intuition that tells you, your gut, that, you know what, this is the right path. No matter what, even if progress is slow in the beginning, the fact that you're taking action, you will see success, and you will start to see some small wins. And that right there is going to motivate you to keep going forward. Now, what happens is you could probably get adversity and doubt that starts to creep back in. You're like, fuck, like, what am I doing? Am I actually doing the right thing? You know? And, you know, I could even relate to this when I started doing content. Even now, it's like, I mean, I'm not a big YouTuber. I'm not like, you know, producing like millions of views, but that's okay, because I know at the end of the day what my goal is. And if you feel that that's true to you, then nobody could stop you. No one could take that away from you. And ultimately, those are the most successful personal brands. And don't be the one who doesn't improve and refine. You know, you're always like, as you move along your journey, you're going to have to learn how to adapt. Once you start learning how to adapt, you know, something clicks. You know, maybe you find the right niche, or maybe you find the right target audience that sort of relates to whatever content that you're putting out or whatever product that you're offering to your market. So your audience starts to expand. You know, a piece of work resonates, and you realize, hey, you know what? I'm not just playing a game. I'm actually reshaping it. I'm being able to mold it, right? So this is where, you know, the motivation starts to kick back in. And just remember, it's a roller coaster. When you start to have that consistent action throughout time, you know, you're putting in the hours and you're putting in the work, you know, that's when the mastery starts to become, you know, that's when the mastery starts to kick in. And then it's sort of like an exponential type of growth, right? So you operate on instinct, and then ideas flow effortlessly. So people seek your insight, because guess what? Now you're becoming an expert in that field. And once you become an expert in that field, you can start to build systems that ultimately free you from your like 9 to 5, from whatever place that you're currently at. As long as you're aware of your own surroundings and where you want to be, and your vision is clear, I guarantee you that you're not just a creator, you start to become a force. Just remember this, that the people who break through, they don't have more talent than you do. They just have leverage, and they learn how to use these systems to ultimately help them either grow their business, grow their content, or just make things easier along the way for them. So a lot of people, when it comes to AI, they complain like, oh, well, that's just AI slop or whatever. And I agree, like, there's a lot of noise out there, and there's a lot of like shitty content that people are making. But guess what? That content is actually generating views. And if the goal for them is to just to generate views on YouTube and make some additional income on YouTube, well, guess what? That goal is actually working for them. But that's not the goal here. The goal is how you could use these tools to actually have an efficient creative partner by your side. So like I said, the best creators in 2026 won't be the ones who use AI the most or are the ones producing AI slop, but the ones who actually use it strategically. And just to give you an example, I am currently working on a SaaS product, and I'm currently building this along with the developer. And right now we're in the stage of kind of like building a wait list, right? Just to validate the idea, even though I know that the market's huge and there's a lot of potential there. But I'll give you a sort of example that I did here. This is a script. I call this a visual script. We're building content here. Like, I'm generating these images either through Midjourney or through, you know, Nano Banana. except for obviously this Patrick one. But it's helping me create ads for my business faster than ever before. Like I don't need a creative team to sort of like um, make these animated style ads or UGC style ads that you could now, create with either ArcAds or something like HeyGen. But what I'm trying to say is that now it's just easier more than ever to create the content that you want. So if you guys want to dive deeper on your own, I do have a link below that where you could download this free guide. So here we go a little bit more deeper into sort of like the AI advantage and how to ultimately use these tools, in that ecosystem that you're going to be building for your own business. And I won't really touch on that again. If you guys want to dive deeper into this, you could get this free guide in the description below. Just to keep it simple, the sort of flywheel or the loop that you'll see. So you start with an idea, you start ideating with ChatGPT or any LLM of your choice, and then you start creating. So you start using some tools like Midjourney, Nano Banana, you know, Kling, whatever it might be, but ultimately you gather assets and you start creating. And now I wouldn't fully rely on, just everything being AI because that's how, you could get AI slop, but be very strategic on how you could use these creative tools to your own advantage. And that's how you execute. So remember to keep things very authentic to your own personal brand. And that's what really people gravitate towards. It's not just something that's purely AI because then it feels soulless and then repurpose, right? So that's when we start getting into sort of automation and batching content creating, like how to create a long form video and then use that long form video to create additional shorts, turn that into a blog post or, TikTok video. So it's really, it's like a system that you're building. So this kind of gets more in depth with that sort of like mindset and overall theme of how you could use these tools to your own content strategy. So traditional content is slow and even outdated now. AI enables you to get ahead by creating, repurposing, and distributing content at scale without sacrificing authenticity, depending on how you use it. The future belongs to creators who know how to merge automation with personal insights. So, like I said, starting with long form content, this could be a YouTube, a podcast, even a newsletter, that you could ultimately use as leverage as the way you get more subscribers and continue growing. And here's a selfish plug, but if you want to subscribe to my newsletter just to learn more about these AI creative tools, the links down below. That's when I'll be able to send you this free guide. And as you're gaining this experience, not only are you gaining knowledge, but you're also gaining leverage. You're sort of future proofing your own skills, right? Because if you start learning how to tap into these AI tools, and more importantly, you start learning how to prompt, that's going to put you ahead of most people because a lot of people just, they probably have ChatGPT installed to their phone. They go on the app and they probably ask it a few questions, but, nothing in a way where they're using it strategically to help them grow or build their own business. So, remember, this is how you execute this AI content workflow, just a smarter way to keep you consistent. So I just kind of have this more narrowed down, kind of list a couple more tools here that could help you get started and how overall I personally use these tools. And this is like prompts for limitless content and business growth. So I have a few prompts, I think 8 in total, but to the left here is why you would want to use this prompt, and you could obviously modify and edit them to your own. But to the right, it's the prompt itself. So just to go through one of them here, prompt one: use this to identify gaps in the market and position yourself with a unique solution. So what are the biggest, most painful problems people face when trying to, and then the goal, what they want to achieve, or the problem that they want to solve, and what are some potential unique and creative solutions to these problems that I might be able to offer. So you're hitting them with the pain point, and then that's when you're coming in and you're building that solution. And let's say you're someone who like doesn't know where to start when it comes to content. Well, you could use prompt two. So use this when you need some quick content ideas. Generate a highly detailed list of engaging and attention grabbing content ideas for your niche. and then focusing on unique angles, trending discussions, and audience driven insights. Prompt 6 is like good for when you have multiple ideas or topic and interest and that you want to combine. So that's personally me because I just love a bunch of things and I just kind of like, what's that word? A jack of all trades, but trying to master all of them. But the prompt overall is help me combine these topics, and then you list your topic of interest. So this could be marketing, video creative, AIs, and into a unique and engaging content idea. Find a creative angle that connects them in a compelling way, making it valuable and interesting for my audience. So just plug and play prompts that you could enter into like a chat GPT or a Grok, and then you sort of start ideating from there, right? Here, I thought this might be important to include, especially at the end of this guide, but it's pretty much like finding the right balance of being authentic and automating the process, right? Because if you rely too much on automation, then that's when you have a higher chance of losing authenticity, and people don't like that. People don't like when something feels soulless or something feels very fake. So you want to avoid that, because ultimately that could hurt your personal brand. Again, if this sort of free guide is for you to sort of like digest and read on your own time, you guys could probably get a few valuable nuggets from here. But if you guys want to continue learning more about AI and creative, definitely subscribe to the channel. Or if you want to dive even deeper, go ahead and click on my newsletter below, and you'll be sent some weekly insights when it comes to AI and overall video creative. The goal of this video was to show you that, or just to sort of highlight that this stuff is not going away, and it's just going to continue getting better. So if you start learning how to use these tools for your own business or your own brand, you're definitely going to be ahead of 95% of people out there. And I think that's scary for a lot of people, and that's probably exciting for a few. So I think it's just really, it's about taking action, but being very strategic and knowing what you want to do at the end of the day. And I think that's the hardest part, is like just starting, just ultimately taking action. And it could be overwhelming when there's just so many tools out there that I was like, whoa, fuck, what do I even use? But hopefully this guide sort of helps you, or guides you to sort of like laying down that first step. I think that's probably the most important part of the overall process, is just taking that first step. So go ahead and download the guide and subscribe to the channel, and we'll continue doing some more videos. This is a little more of a different format. Usually I do more heavily edited videos, but kind of want to just have a one-on-one with you guys and just give you guys my sort of like state of mind when it comes to these tools, because this stuff is always changing so fast. And I think that as time progresses, even in this year, we'll see what surprises come along the way. But I think just it's about being a producer and not a consumer. And I'll leave it at that. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.